Let's dive right into this explainer and unpack a truly fascinating historical paradox. It's one that challenges absolutely everything our modern world assumes about power and leadership. You know, we usually think of power as something you wield over others, right? It's like a ladder you relentlessly climb or a status you finally achieve. But today, we're going to explore a deeply compelling narrative that flips that entire concept completely on its head. We're looking at a historical figure who totally redefined what it actually means to be elevated as a human being.
Think about this for a second. Why would a man of immense authority completely reject elevated status? It's a paradox that has genuinely puzzled and inspired scholars and leaders for over a century. Imagine having the ultimate respect, the ultimate authority, and yet when it actually comes time to choose your title, you bypass every grand label available and pick the absolute most humble one imaginable. Why on earth would someone do that? Well, let's find out.
Section 1. The Paradox of Power.
To really get this, we need to establish just how much influence this figure actually had. We're examining the life of Abbás Effendi, a man who held immense spiritual authority and was literally revered by thousands. And the crazy thing is, he held this staggering influence even during his incredibly harsh imprisonment in the penal colony of Akka. He was actually designated by Baha'u'llah himself as the center of the covenant. So just to be clear, we are not talking about someone on the fringes of society here. We're talking about a central, towering figure with unparalleled spiritual authority among his followers.
But despite this staggering status, he demanded a totally different title. The name Abdu'l Bahá translates directly to the servant of Bahá. He wasn't the heir, he wasn't the successor, the leader, or the authority in his chosen namesake. He was, very simply, just the servant. And in that one very specific choice, a massive philosophical shift begins to take shape.
Section 2. Rejecting the master title.
Now, what's incredibly interesting about this choice is the specific and frankly grandiose title he actively chose to reject. He was actually offered the ultimate title, the Master, and this wasn't just some nickname given by the public or by historical commentators. It was given to him by Baha'u'llah, the figure regarded as the manifestation of God in the Baha'i faith. Think about the weight of that for a moment. Yet he bypassed the crown, the authority, and the succession entirely just to be the servant.
His conviction here wasn't just some act of public modesty. It was a profound declaration of reality. He stated it unequivocally, saying, "My name is Abdu'l Bahá. My identity is Abdu'l Bahá. My reality is Abdu'l Bahá. I wish no other name, no other title." This intense repetition of name, identity, and reality, it kind of tells us everything. He wasn't just putting on a humble face for good PR. He was defining his very core.
Because you see, this refusal wasn't mere politeness. It was a radical shift in philosophy, in leadership theory, and honestly in spiritual psychology. He was fundamentally challenging how humanity perceives greatness. By rejecting those elevated titles, he was essentially saying that the old models of dominance were completely outdated, and he was stepping into an entirely different framework of existence.
Section 3. Flipping the power hierarchy.
He proved that the highest station in any world, material or spiritual, isn't dominance at all. True power is not in rising above people. It is in lifting people up. This means the greatest leaders throughout history were never the ones who demanded strict obedience or ruled with an iron fist. The truly great leaders are the ones who inspire profound transformation. True leadership is not in command, it's entirely rooted in service.
This completely rebuilds our whole model of power. Think about the direct contrast here. Authority, which usually relies so heavily on human ego, is transformed entirely into guidance. Leadership, traditionally driven by the self, becomes pure love. And power, deeply rooted in dominance throughout history, becomes light. It's a total reprogramming of how we view human interaction at the highest levels.
The ultimate takeaway is that servitude is definitely not weakness. It is the absolute mastery of the self. I mean, it requires an incredible amount of strength to put aside your ego when you have every single reason and opportunity to flaunt it. He mastered the art of servitude so completely that, in a beautiful twist of irony, others ended up calling him the master anyway.
Section 4. A blueprint for today. Let's be real. We live in a world absolutely obsessed with metrics. We relentlessly chase prestigious LinkedIn titles, we desperately want influence, we crave visibility on social media, and we protect our personal status at all costs. Because our culture is so hyper-focused on these external markers of success, Abdu'l Bahā's teachings from over a century ago remain incredibly radical and disruptive today. They directly challenge every single corporate and social model of leadership we've inherited.
So how do we actually apply this? Well, if you're looking to build a community, an institution, a family, or a movement, here is your practical blueprint for ethical leadership. Number 1, if you want to lead, serve. 2, if you want to be powerful, be humble. And 3, if you want to be elevated, lower yourself in love. It's a remarkably simple yet profoundly difficult roadmap to truly ethical leadership.
The whole paradox resolves with this profound realization. He was exalted because he was humble. He was powerful because he emptied himself of power. He was the master, ultimately, because he was the servant. It completely redefines what true success looks like. The highest station a human being can reach isn't sitting on some throne. It is the station of service.
I'll leave you with this final thought as we wrap up this explainer. Could the future of our world, our institutions, and our communities depend on rediscovering this ancient truth? If we can learn to master servitude, maybe we can finally master true leadership. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and I really hope this fundamentally changes how you view the power dynamics in your own life.